And good morning, everybody. Welcome. Hot Takes Goodman and Renck. Troy, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Where in the world are you right now?
I'm at the Indianapolis airport. I've got a flight coming up. I was originally supposed to fly home last night, which I normally do on the Combine, a night flight. Well, they just canceled it out of the blue. So if I didn't jump this flight, I think I was going to come back some point next week. So I'm at the Indianapolis airport. Right outside of security. So if there becomes an announcement saying that what you can and cannot carry on a plane, I will try to hit mute as early as possible. So clearly I'm not going to tell anyone I know you, or I'm going to get some additional screening, but I think we're good.
No, I would agree with that. I think it was about 20, 30 years ago, a woman once said to me, take me to an expensive meal. So I took her to the airport.
I like where your head's
with
at.
That's my own joke, by the way. That did not come from somebody else. With that, I want to tell you about the Sportsbook Bar and Grill. You can find them in the DTC, Highlands Ranch, and Parker as well. It is a fabulous place to sit down and watch sports because when you walk in, every wall is just plastered with TVs. So every seat is a great seat. Just how great is the menu? When I walk in there, maybe around noon or 1 for lunch, the place is very busy. That should tell you how good the food is. We get takeout there as well. They have like 12 different types of burgers, all different types of sauces for wings. Their appetizers are outstanding, starting with the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. They now have hamburger egg rolls as well. Great Brussels sprouts. Cheese curds are outstanding. As you know, or as you can tell, I certainly know the menu there. Sportsbook Bar and Grill. Again, you can find them in the DTC, Highlands Ranch, and Parker. Time now for the lead.
The Lead is presented by Sasquatch Casino, a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
So the big story coming out of the Combine yesterday, maybe even nationally, Sean Payton giving up play calling duties to Davis Webb. And this is not going to be split right down the middle. Apparently, it looks like Davis Webb has gotten the keys to the car, and Sean Payton's going to be riding shotgun. Are you surprised? This is pretty much 100% move.
I'm not surprised. I'm surprised that he was so transparent about it. It might have been his best press conference as a Broncos coach as it relates to discussing that specific issue, not the entirety. It was almost a half-hour press conference. But he was very honest, and he touched on some of the points that he basically hit on late in the season when he was reflective about when you get older, do you wonder about if you're able to do it? He said it was not motivated by one specific factor. It's just that the play, but he did drop hints. The operation's got to get faster. Plays have to get in faster, which has been a problem the last couple of years with Bo Nix and Sean Payton. And he would not have done it if he did not believe in Davis Webb. So as my headline wrote in my column today, it's like he hands off play calling. How long before he calls an audible? Because that's what this is all about. So I asked him, I'm like, you give pretty much some freedom to your defensive coach, Vance Joseph. You give freedom to Darren Rizzi. How are you going to resist the temptation to micromanage? He's like, I micromanage everything. Right. I'm in control of everything. If you just saw my meetings, and I'm just like, I don't know how this is going to work. He's going to have to let the Davis Webb have room to grow. And you brought it up. But if he tries to become a helicopter parent and he's involved in every decision and questioning every decision, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. He did try to insist that this wasn't a result of Davis Webb having leverage of leaving. I would probably disagree with that, humbly disagree. But I do think it's the right move, Eric. I don't know how you believe it, but I just don't know. In theory, it's the right move. In practice, I'm not convinced it works.
I think it is the right move, and I have a lot of empathy for Sean Payton. Something that a lot of people would not give him empathy. I want you to think about this, and I'm hoping everybody who is listening to this will think about this. With age, things get stripped from you unwillingly. I mean, think about this for a second, Troy. And Sean Payton is far from being an old man, but the speed of the game, not the intellect, not the acumen of the game, has passed him by. He is just slower. And I'll give you a perfect example, although, and I don't mean it to sound self-indulgent. When I was a kid, I wasn't a good chess player. I was an excellent chess player. like at the age of like 11, I'd play adults and the game would be over before you knew it. I was so good that my grandparents put me in front of the Wisconsin state champion at the age of 11. Now at the age of 57, it is so frustrating to play because when I played back then, I could think about 7 moves ahead. I can move every piece on the board and just put you exactly where I wanted to put you. Now, if I can think 2 moves ahead, it's a gift. My mind just doesn't work that way anymore. And for Sean Payton, his mind does not work that fast anymore. And I feel badly for him because now he's losing a big part of who he is and his identity as an NFL head coach, and he's handing it off to a young kid because he just can't do it because of the speed of it anymore.
Empathy for someone making $18 million a year to coach is not where I expected you to go.
No. Troy, let's not make this about money. It's about the human being. It's almost like saying about a player, I don't feel badly for him that he ripped his knee because he has a guaranteed contract.
No. That's an injury. That's an injury. This is a choice. This is a decision.
This is a mind thing.
No, it's not. He knows Davis is better, and he knows he needed to do it. And what's going to happen is Davis is going to become a head coach next year, and he's going to be the play caller again. That's why I'm not going with you there. This isn't the end of an era because I think after next season, Sean will be calling plays again. I think Sean's going to be calling plays again at some point during the season. I do, because I don't trust him to let this process play out. I hope I'm wrong because Davis Webb, there's a reason every team wants him. He's the wonderkin. And Sean Payton, to your point of your story, and I'm not dismissing your story because it is hard when you age and you're in a professional sport with the 1 percentile. The margin for error is way different than someone in their office cubicle, even including myself. Yeah. It's different. I struggle with deadline now at times that I never would have 20 years ago.
Right.
Because of just the way you type physically, the way you process. Anyway, with Payton, he was Davis Webb. He was the wonderkin, and Jim Fossil let him call plays. And he brought that up yesterday. I've been there. I know what this is like. So I hope he leans back to that. But it'll be the first time in 19 years that he's relinquished it. And I just hope he gives Davis a fair shake because my concern is they're going to go 3 and out the first 2 possessions, and Sean's going to be calling plays in the second quarter. And that's not fair to this decision. You've got to give it, like he always says, give it a month. Before we start evaluating. And he doesn't want every week to be a referendum on Davis Webb. Well, it is going to be. That's how fans are. That's how we are in the media. He can't be that way. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter what we think. He can't have a referendum on Davis Webb on every series. And if he doesn't, this will work. If he does, Davis Webb will now have the worst job in Denver outside of Rocky's pitching coach.
Okay. Let's look at that history you talked about, with Jim Fossil. That happened in 2002. And to your point, and you wrote about it in the column today, Sean Payton in 2002 was Davis Webb in 2026. I hope history doesn't repeat because for those that remember, but for those that don't, let me tell you what happened that season. Jim Fossil allowed and gave Sean Payton full play calling duties. And at midseason, Jim Fossil took away those play calling duties because the Giants were struggling. Once Fossil took back over, the team started to win. They went on a 4-game winning streak and made the playoffs. The next year, Sean Payton joined Bill Parcells in Dallas.
Right.
Let's hope that history doesn't repeat itself. But here's the thing. Maybe Sean Payton is trying to convince himself.
That's what I felt yesterday standing in front of him.
Okay.
He was trying to convince himself more than he was convincing us. He kept repeating the same. It's the best for the team. I'd never do this if it weren't for the best for the team. Okay. And I'm like, are you trying to tell you or us? Because we get it.
So when he says things are a little too fast for him, I'm going to only go by that. Things are too fast for him.
He did it the opposite way, that things just have to move more quickly. He's never said it's too fast for him, just for semantics. For semantics.
Things need to move more quickly. He has had the last 3 years to move things more quickly, and they're still not moving more quickly. To me, that is the biggest thing in all of this, not that Davis Webb might be better. And the reason why I'm saying that is when Davis Webb leaves, more than likely for a head coaching job next year, and Sean Payton cannot find an offensive coordinator that he trusts like he does apparently with Davis Webb, and let's say Sean Payton takes back over as the play caller, none of that will have changed. It will still be moving too fast for him. He let everybody see some insight into him where he is struggling. And I can promise you it's not going to get any better because it hasn't gotten any better over the next 3 years. And that's where the concern should be.
The counter argument to that, because that's a great point, Eric, is that in theory, Bo Nix entering his fourth year, he would be quicker. He would be able to operate some of this without waiting on Sean. Like, that's why if you ever watch Breeze and Sean, Drew Brees was completing Sean's sentences. He wasn't waiting for him to finish the play call. He just knew it instinctively. So maybe, again, this is a stretch, but in fourth year, will Bo then be kind of completing Sean's sentences to make it easier on Sean? But I do agree with you. The operational part, we've all noted, it's an issue. When your quarterback turns and screams at the coach at the sideline once or twice a game, that's an operational issue. And you talk about, kind of the inside in the weeds of the game. At every press conference with Sean, he talks in a way where he stops where you need ellipses.
Yeah.
So if I'm a quarterback, am I to believe every time he gives a play call that it just comes out smoothly? I just know how he talks. So it'd be like X, Y, jet, rock. I just could see him not stammering. That's not the word I'm looking. It's just I could see it taking time. And Davis Webb, if you believe Ben DiNucci and you believe some of the players, they think he's going to be brilliant. He's going to be dynamic. He sees it through a quarterback's eyes. Hell, he was just in the league, Eric, 3 years ago. He started a game 3 years ago. So he knows what Bo's going through. He ran the quarterback room in Buffalo when he was a player. But will Sean allow him to have that freedom? And if he does, this has a chance. I said it, this is going to be marvelous or messy, because Thunder better have a seatbelt on that saddle, because this is going to be a bumpy ride and it's going to be fun, but it has a chance to be amazing. But it also has a chance, as you just brought up with Fossil, to get really weird. And the thing is, if he pulls the play calling from Webb, Webb's not going to be a head coach next year. That's the weird part about it. Webb's not going to get a head coaching job if he gets demoted as offensive coordinator. So it's just so many things that are in play here that are fascinating to me. But in theory, I completely agree with Sean Payton to hand it over. I just don't trust that he's going to stay out of the way. I hope he proves me wrong, because I think it makes him a better team if he lets Davis call the plays.
So from the people that you've talked to down there, Troy, how will this offense look different under Davis Webb?
There's a belief it'll be a little more up-tempo, sprinkle in a little bit more of those concepts, because Davis knows how comfortable Bo is with that. It's not going to be the staple and the basis of the offense. So there's that belief that it's going to be a little more up-tempo. And maybe a little bit more in the middle of the field, depending on the weapons they get. But what's fascinating to me, Eric, everyone I talk to that I trust in the NFL, no one thinks that Sean Payton is a bad play call. Honestly, I get more at these national events of, we like Bo, but he's leaving throws on the field. He doesn't have enough talent around him. Most people, and I don't know if it's just because they've known Sean Payton forever, they don't see it as a play calling issue. They see it as a function of the personnel and a quarterback who's still growing into the role. But to answer your question, they do believe with Webb, it's going to look a little more up-tempo that way. Get maybe even in a series, no huddle, then under center, then no huddle. Like, it's just going to look have a little more variance than perhaps we saw with Sean Payton.
Do you think if you shot up Sean Payton with a little sodium pentothal, which is truth serum, if that's what you want to call it, or maybe if you gave him a half bottle of scotch, do you think he would tell you honestly Davis Webb is a better play caller than him right now? Because that's what he insinuated.
No, because we've seen it in one preseason game against the Arizona Cardinals.
But that's what he said. And he said the game, it's too quick and it's too quick for him right now, in theory. You know what I mean by that.
Yeah,
Do you think he really believes that?
I think he believes that it's worth trying based on his own honest reservations the last year. He said that he had multiple conversations with Davis during the year, that this wasn't an epiphany at the end of the season. It happened a couple times where he pulled him in and basically said, hey, this could be where I'm going. Think in terms of it. Because last year, when he went to Davis after minicamp, he said, I'm going to let you call the game against Arizona. Be ready for it. And that he came back ready for that challenge. So I just think Sean believes it's worth trying at this point. There's no way he can be convinced Davis is going to be great at, because we don't know when it's real. It was against the Cardinals in the preseason. If you talk to the players, Eric, they 100% believe Davis is going to be good at this. And I think that's part of it. That's not how Sean makes decisions, but he wouldn't be making this decision if he didn't think it was worth trying. But I don't think if you gave him truth serum, he's like, oh yeah, he's going to be better than me right away. I don't see Sean saying that. I think he knows it's definitely worth trying to see if it is better.
All right. Sean also said he believes that Bo will be a top 5 quarterback in the next 2 years. By the end of this year, that will be 2 years. Do you think Davis Webb can get Nix there better than Payton can?
I think he can get Nix closer to his ceiling. I don't think top 5's realistic yet. When I talk to people out here at the Combine, all they're saying is they think his ceiling is somewhere between 8 and 12 in the league. And you know what you can do with 8 and 12, Eric? You can win a Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
You can win a Super Bowl and you can win a lot of games.
Yep.
Whether he's 5 to me is immaterial. But if he's 17 to 28, we know what that looks like. That's hard to win. Now, again, nobody says Sam Darnold's a top 5 quarterback, but he plays like probably right around the top 10, right? So if Nix is somewhere around the top 10, you can win a Super Bowl. And I do believe, again, in theory, that Davis Webb can get him closer to his ceiling. But it's not going to matter if they don't get a running back. It's not going to matter if they don't get at least one more really good offensive weapon. It's not going to matter who's calling the plays.
Coming up after the break, we're going to go right into that, as that was one hell of a tease, and I'll tease it even more. George and Sean talked about what they need this offseason. What do they need? That's next.
Ever wondered where city and county fleet vehicles go when they retire? Now's your chance to find out and score big. Imagine driving away with a great deal on a reliable vehicle. For over 45 years, Roller Auction has been the trusted source for government fleet vehicles and equipment. Trucks, SUVs, sedans, and more, all selling to the highest bidder. Don't miss out. Visit roller.bid/hot takes to get auction updates today. Your next vehicle could be just a click away.
Everyone has their favorite sports bar. Mine, the Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, DTC, and now in Parker. All their locations are everything a sports bar should be. An upscale menu with 12 different burgers, outstanding wings, and my favorite, the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. They've got every game on the NFL Sunday Ticket, MLB Extra Innings, NHL Center Ice, NBA League Pass, plus soccer, rugby, and UFC. Sportsbook, great hangout bar, great for private parties. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, DTC, and now in Parker. They are the sports bar.
Ferguson's Heating and Cooling is the best in Denver, and their customers agree. Ferguson's has 165 5-star Google reviews, and here's one from Betsy. Highly professional, prompt, and honest. I switched to Ferguson's when I became aware my former company was trying to sell me a whole new system I didn't need. Ferguson's is an honest, working, family-owned business that'll give you a fair price, the highest quality parts and equipment, and they always show up on time. You can trust the Ferguson family like you trust your own family. Go to fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. Don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corn bake. Man, you got to try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver.
Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Black Hawk have another incredible promotion. They'll be giving away a Ford Maverick Tremor truck or nearly $25,000 in cash the weekend of May 16th. Earn daily entries with every locked-up jackpot or by redeeming points on your player card. You can also earn a chance to win during their daily cash drawings every 45 minutes between 10 a.m. and midnight. Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos, loose slots, great promotions, great food, and a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
And welcome back. Hot Takes Goodman and Renck. Want to tell you about Ferguson Heating and Cooling. We have worked with them a couple of times, and I'll tell you the experience has easily been 5-star. We had a problem with our hot water heater, and showers were super cold. We called them. They were out here in a matter of hours. Everything worked out just great. They did not try and sell us, or they did. It's not that they didn't try and sell us a new hot water heater. Our hot water heater was 10 years old. It needed to be replaced. Nothing bothers me more than, taking your car to the mechanic and they tell you all these things that are wrong and you really have no idea if it's wrong or not. And then you wind up getting something, new. That's why sometimes you might want to get a second opinion on big fixes, but I trust them. With that, when our furnace had a problem, our furnace I knew wasn't that old either. They didn't try and sell us anything new. They fixed it and took care of it. Ferguson's Heating and Cooling, the best out there. Go to fergusonsheatingandcooling.com. Time now for What's Trending.
What's Trending is presented by Ferguson's Heating and Cooling. Your family should trust the Ferguson family for all your heating and cooling needs, and you'll see why they have over 165 5-star Google reviews. Make an appointment today at fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
All right, Sean Payton said running back, linebacker, tight end are positions the Broncos need to address this offseason because they have free agents at those positions. What should be the priority in order of running back, linebacker, and tight end?
In the free agency, it should be running back. It's the clearest path forward. There's multiple guys available.
And what's 2 and 3?
I would think
linebacker or tight end?
Tight end would be, I think linebacker and tight end are both going to be a draft issue. I don't see him in free agency. So we'll see. We'll see. Tight end, there's a possibility they trade. But if I had to guess, it's going to be running back in free agency, perhaps tight end in free agency or trade, linebacker and receiver in the draft.
Linebacker, receiver in the draft. I would go running back first in free agency. I think they will seriously look at a tight end in free agency. At linebacker, they have in-house options. That's why I don't think they will go inside linebacker there. And then at wide receiver, to your point, there is depth in the draft, and there's always depth in the draft at wide receiver. And there's huge depth in the draft as well at inside linebacker. So that would be my list, and I think it pretty much mirrors yours, right?
Right. But the running back thing got interesting yesterday, and you and I hammered this point on about where should they go. We kind of both settled on Travis Etienne. So even the squirrel gets on that once in a while. Because Breece Hall, Darren Muji, when I was at his presser, he basically said they're going to transition tag him without saying they're going to tag him.
Right.
So he likely won't hit the market. Kenneth Walker then moves to the front. And when I was talking about, because you had asked me about Walker, and I was like, there's some concerns about him as a receiver. You brought up the stats, which show that he's functional. But the one thing that came up when I talked to people about Walker, Eric, out here, there's concern about him in pass pro, his blocking. And then when you look at it, I was like, really? But when Charbonneau got hurt, the backup to the backup still played like 35% of the snaps on third down. So that does tell you there's some concern there. And so that's why I'm tilting more toward Travis Etienne as a fit. But that's a free agency thing. But the news yesterday is Hall is likely going to be tagged. So now it is, if they don't like Walker and they don't want to set the market with Walker, it could be Etienne or Rico from Carolina, who's back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, Dowdle. So maybe he becomes an option at $6-7 million a year, a little more than Javonte Williams got.
Alex Singleton, I believe, wants to come back.
He does.
I think he especially wants to come back because Vance Joseph is coming back. Singleton wants to get paid. I think he's probably going to be willing to take a wee bit of a hometown discount, but not too much. You have to bet on it right now. Singleton in a Broncos uniform next year.
I think he is because
And should he be? Should he be?
Well, here's what I would do. I believe he is because Vance Joseph is back, and he's going to. I think at some point next year he turns 32.
Yeah.
So that is, as they say in the business, aging out of the position.
Right.
But what if you sign him to a 2? Say it's 3, but it's 2 years guaranteed. So next year he starts, and you draft someone like Jacob Rodriguez from Texas Tech or another linebacker who then comes in and learns under him. And then that guy, in theory, would take over in 2027 when the guaranteed money from Singleton shrinks and you could move on from him if you had to. That's where I see it, because while I've said Sternad makes more sense because he's 4 years younger, I think somebody on the open market's going to pay Sternad. And the Broncos aren't going to be able to match it, where they're like, you know what, we like you. We don't like you at that price. Let's bring back Alex for 2-year guaranteed. And Vance Joseph would 100% welcome that because he calls his defense. So that's my theory, working theory today. They re-sign Singleton, they keep Greenlaw and hope he's healthy, and they draft a young linebacker in the first couple rounds.
Let's take a hard right turn. Avalanche made a trade yesterday, well over a week before the trade deadline. Sam Girard, the longest tenured defenseman on the team, is now going to Pittsburgh with a second-round draft pick for a veteran by the name of Brett Kulak. He is a defenseman. What do you like about the trade? What don't you like about the trade?
Well, listen, Sam Girard, people like Sammy, and he's been very public in some of the issues he dealt with and substance abuse. So and the fact that he went through that, he admitted it, and he's very public. He's helped people in that regard. So I wish him nothing but success moving on in his career. But if we're being honest from the hockey side, people in the Avs, it feels like, especially the fans, have been trying to trade him for years because he's undersized. And I go out to practice a handful of times. I'm not a hockey guy, but he looks undersized. He's a smaller guy. So as they're trying to get more versatile, more physical, bigger, like it's all about winning a cup, right? And if you don't see how Girard fits with that, I like this. But I'm going to throw it back to you because you watch hockey with a more discerning eye than I do. You have more experience with it. Doesn't it feel like this sets up another move?
Yes. So I like this trade a lot, and it has nothing to do with not liking Sam Girard.
Right.
For starters, for what he is getting paid right now, he's logging about the 4th or 5th most minutes on defense.
Right.
And there are only 6 of them. He has another year left on his contract. The guy that they just brought in, this is his final year of his deal.
Right.
Kulak is also a bigger defenseman. He's more rugged. He's 6'2". Sammy Girard is not. Now there's only one defenseman on the team who is under 6 feet tall. And so you lose the money that you'd have to pay Girard next year. Looking at what you pay Kulak this year, I mean, this guy was getting paid $2.75 million. But they're not paying him $2.75 million. They're paying him the remainder of his contract. So that is pennies.
And they had to throw in the second-round pick to do this. But, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and that's not an easy thing to give up.
Right.
However, if you're trying to win a cup right now, you're going to have to do that. Teams that win championships have to give up draft picks in any sport in order to win now. Is Kulak this great defenseman? I'll tell you right now, he's good enough where he logs a lot of minutes wherever he plays. Every team that he's been with trusts him. Edmonton, Pittsburgh. He's had a really good career. He's won 3 Stanley Cup titles as a player. I am not suggesting he is the reason why. However, everything adds up in terms of you're getting bigger on the blue line. You're getting more of a stay-at-home defenseman. He's not a guy who is going to score a lot of goals for you. You know, Brent Burns, he can score some goals for you. But now you have some rugged guys. where you have Makar and Taves who can score. One thing that Jared Bednar likes to do as a head coach is he likes speed from his blue liners so they can pinch in and join the rush and join the play on the offensive end. They have enough offensive firepower where the forwards can take care of that. They need to be solid in their own end. But to answer your question, yes, they now have more flexibility with their salary cap to go out and make another move.
Who is it? Is it Kadri? I don't think it is, but could it be that big of a move?
I don't know. I mean, when the trade deadline hits for any sport, you're only paying a fraction of what somebody's being made. So what did Kadri sign? A 7-year, $49 million deal?
Yes, I believe that's right. And he's got, what, 3 years left then?
Well, and that's the thing. Is it Kadri? Do the Avs want to pay Kadri for the remainder of his contract? And that's why Kulak is attractive, because his contract is coming up. You trade for Kadri, you got the rest of his contract. Unless it's going to be we bring him in a trade and then trade him in the offseason, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, does it?
Unless it's to win another cup.
Right. Well, listen, you know what? If you can win another cup, then that's a really good way to go. With that, the Avalanche start back up tonight following the Olympic break against Utah, while the Nuggets are home against Boston, following their most embarrassing loss in recent years. Would you call this a litmus test to see how the Nuggets respond to the loss against the Warriors?
100%. And David Adelman's challenged them to have more urgency, to pay attention to the standings, to understand, like, at some point we got to hit the throttle here, boys. We got to open it up, because they need to get hot at home. They need to show they can beat good teams. And you mentioned that Golden State loss was embarrassing. I think it ended on a 20-2 run. I mean, come on. And there's nobody, and I didn't recognize, and I follow the NBA. I couldn't even recognize the guys that were playing for the Warriors for the most part. I mean, no Draymond, no Curry, no Jimmy Butler, and you're getting smoked at the end of a game. So yes, I think it is a litmus test. And this is where, I advocated for Adelman to get the job after he won a playoff series. This is now his first real challenge as a head coach. Can you get these guys turned in the right direction? Because it's been all pretty much great, or we can't evaluate him because of the injuries. Well, now you got to start winning some games. And you got to start winning some games against good teams. Because if all of a sudden you find yourself as the 6th or 7th seed, holy smokes, what a disappointment. And I don't want to hear about injuries at that point. I don't want to hear it. So they're easing Gordon back. It sounds like, reading and talking to Bennett Durando, our great writer at the Denver Post, we might see Gordon and Watson next Thursday, almost like a week from tomorrow. And could that finally be the stretch run with what about 20 games left, that we really finally evaluate this team?
This would be my advice, not that they give a shit what I have to say. Do not rush either guy back. If they have to come back with 5 games to go in the regular season, then do it that way. Do not rush these guys back, because all you need is one or both of these guys to aggravate their injuries again, and you're done. You might lose in the first round with the way this team is currently playing, but specifically in the fourth quarter. Teams every once in a while have closed door players only meetings. With what Jokic said following the game against the Warriors, same thing with Christian Brown. It was as close to a closed door meeting as a open book test, where everybody knew what Jokic and Brown thought about what was going on. This is a fork in the road as well. This is more than just one game against the Boston Celtics, because then they have OKC coming up, and then they have the Timberwolves coming up. All 3 of these games, by the way, are on national television, and the last thing that you want to do is pants yourself in front of everybody. So to me, it's more than just the Boston game. This is the fork in the road. Which direction are you going to be going? Are you going to continue to collapse in the fourth quarter, or are you really going to look at yourselves and say, we are fucking up on every turn. We have a great roster. We're just not playing together well as a team.
Yeah, and we can't make excuses for who's not here. We got to play defense. We got to tighten it up at the end of games. And I mean, it's that simple. It's really be more consistent defensively and tighten it up. And some of it's just shot making at the end of the games, but tighten it up. And the thing that's fascinating, though, is Adelman admits when the last time they had their full starting lineup together was November 11th. Through the first 10 games with their starting lineup, they were 8-2. And then the counterpoint to what you said is if you bring him back too fast, especially Gordon, he's not going to be around for the playoffs.
Right.
But Adelman is saying, I need to see it going into the playoffs. So where is that balance? And that's where it gets dicey here is let's say they lose 2 of these next 3 and it doesn't look great. And you bring back Gordon and Watson next Thursday, and then you lose Gordon again. Now you've lost the season. So, but they need to get them together at least for 5 to 10 games, would be my guess, to give themselves real hope going into the playoffs.
I know if I was talking to David Adelman, I would say, I know that you want to see it, but if you rush it, what you are seeing in the regular season won't be available to you in the postseason probably, or potentially, I should say, right?
Yeah. And if Gordon isn't healthy, they're not winning anything. He's the puzzle piece that makes it fit. But then this is the point. Is your whole season hinging on a 31-year-old who's had basically 6 leg injuries over the last 9 months? That's not a great place to be, Eric.
Well, I don't know if you'll agree with this or not. This is the most talented team I think this franchise has ever had. Ever. Well, here, let me just rephrase that. It's more talented than the championship team. Yeah, the championship team is the best team in franchise history because they're the only ones who win a championship. So that's my A equals B, B equals C, so A equals C.
I mean, I think some of those 80s teams were more talented than the team that won the championship. They just had a harder road. But because the Nuggets caught a break the way the playoffs fell the year they won the title, especially by getting to play Miami at the end. That's not their fault.
They would have beaten anybody because they had the ability to flip that defensive switch whenever they wanted to. And let's go back to when they played in the playoffs. I talk about effort all the time. And you and I have had a conversation where it takes talent to play defense. I think it does to a small point. If you're going to look at a great defensive player, 90% is effort, 10% is skill. Look at Dennis Rodman when he played. Wasn't a huge guy, but he studied the game. He would study the game and study the player he was playing against. Look at how the guy shot and see how the ball came off the rim. He knew where he needed to be in order to pull down a rebound. That is working hard at it off the floor and raising your acumen on how to play a certain player or a certain team. That is a skill to be able to see it and then be able to execute it. But Dennis Rodman was all energy. That's who he was. He was a pogo stick whenever he went onto that floor, no matter what color that pogo stick was. But
he married his IQ to his athleticism.
There's no question. But when the Nuggets needed defensive stops during that championship season, you could literally see it in person or on television when the light switch flipped. You could see it. Like suddenly it was intense out there where they're swarming the ball. We don't see that with this team. And that is the effort.
And then part of it's going to have to come from Brown until Watson comes back. Part of it's going to have to come from both Browns, Christian Brown, Bruce Brown, Jonas Village, the Jonas Bonus brother. It's going to have to come from him. It's not going to come from Murray and Jokic. It's not. It's, now can Murray be functional defensively? Yes, but I don't want to hear people say, well, Jokic has got to be better defensively. Stop. That's not the issue. Is the people around him have to be better at it. Brown is a good defender.
Yeah.
We just haven't really seen much of Christian this year because of the ankle issue. Can he get it going again? Because the reason I like Christian and why I see versions of KCP and a higher ceiling than KCP, because certainly the youth, is that he's accountable. He's coachable. He's played on championships at every level. Yep. This is the kind of guy that when you talk about flipping the switch, he could be that energy guy. We saw it the year they won the championship.
Right.
And so can he do that? Because they need that spark. And I'm glad you said that, because sometimes it just needs to come from one player where guys look around and like, oh, damn, that's what it looks like. Like you just kind of, you get so used to your new normal, you forget what it looked like. And maybe that can come from Bruce, especially at a home game, get the crowd into it, but they need it. It is time, because right now they're in a dangerous place, because if they go 0-3 or 1-2, yikes, it's going to get greasy for the Nuggets.
That's a great way to end the show on a high note. Yeah. It's going to get greasy. Listen, have a safe flight back from Indianapolis all the way to Denver. We'll see you back in Denver tomorrow. This has been Hot Takes with Goodman and Renck. Make it the best possible day you can.